Good evening, everybody. Bereshut Rabbanim and our community at large. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to Charlie for joining us. It's an honor to have you with us this evening. Can you all hear me? I'm looking at my fellow panelists here. Yeah, good. Great. So thank you. I don't know where else to start, but to be honest, it's by no means without any doubt that we're in very tough times. And that's been highlighted over the course of this year and certainly more recently. But we are blessed to be a part of this community because without any doubt in my mind, everybody shows up always. Whether it's making a meal or whether it's supporting a campaign, we can always rely on you. We've just reached our goal of 2.5 million Rand in this fundraising campaign with over 200 donations coming through, which is just incredible. And we can't thank you enough for the show of support and of course for sustaining this community. A special thank you to our partners, to the Kollel, to Mizrachi, to the Akiva, to Yeshiva Cottage Schools. Really an incredible feat on all behalf. Thank you to our organizers, of course, so many people in the background, our sponsors, and of course the generous matches. The benefit of a virtual campaign is that each and every single one of you can partner us and can continue on this as we're reaching out further and spreading the campaign even further as we're still live for another day. So we've opened up a bonus round, and please partner us on this. It's a time of slichot now. It's Erev Yamim Noraim. It's a time of tshuva and tefillah and tzedakah, and what better way to do it than to give to a shul, to give to your local shul, and to grow this community. If you have any doubt in how to do it, please feel free to contact the office and we'll be glad to assist you. And there's exciting things to follow. We're not stopping here. Of course, we look so forward to Charlie's inspiration tonight. But more than that, this week we're launching our website, which we've been waiting so long to do. And really, please look out for it. It's really exciting. We've started our building renovations and there's more to come. So thank you for uniting to building a brighter future. Ektiva v'chatima tova to you and your family. Shana tova. I look forward to seeing you all at shul in the coming week. I guess this time next week. And without any further ado, I'll pass over to Stacey. So thank you once again, really from the bottom of our hearts. Stacey, you're on mute.
Thanks for that. Welcome everybody, and to our special guest. Can you hear me? Welcome everybody, and thank you for being here tonight. Our special guest, Mr. Charlie HARARY. We are so excited to have you with us tonight. Mr. HARARY is a business executive. He's an author, a prolific speaker, known internationally for his charismatic, passionate, and sophisticated lectures, seminars, and keynote addresses. Currently, Mr. HARARY is the CEO of Avon Point Group, an investment and advisory company based in New York. So it's lunchtime for him, supper time for us. Mr. HARARY is the author of the best-selling book, Unlocking Greatness, published last year by Random House. His podcasts, videos, and radio show have reached hundreds of thousands of people worldwide, providing messages regarding business, personal growth, and spirituality. We are truly honored to have you here with us tonight and look forward to hearing your words of inspiration as our keynote speaker for our annual fundraising campaign. Thank you, Mr. HARARY, and over to you.
Thank you so much. What an honor to be here. I really remember my time well down there with such incredible love and acceptance and warmth. And it feels like it was just yesterday that I was there with my son. And I thank you again for all the incredible connections that I've made and that many of them I've maintained. So thank you so much for being here and for listening. And I just want to share with you one idea. It's an idea that I think about every single time I come in. I hope you haven't heard this before. This is a constant thought that I think about as we walk into the days of Rosh Hashanah. You know, Rosh Hashanah is an incredible day. It's a day filled with mystery. And if we understand how it works, maybe we could tap into a judgment this year that can bring us even higher and even greater. So allow me a little bit to sort of back into what I think is an incredible question that's right in front of us. In 2008, here in America had a new president. His name was Barack Obama. And Barack Obama had come to the White House under an economy that was really struggling. And he decided with his team that he was going to really step into the role as leader by doing an address to the nation on the economy. He created a whole plan, a jobs plan. He convened Congress, and he was going to speak to a joint session of Congress, which in America is a big deal. Usually when a president addresses Congress, it gets millions and millions of views. This was going to be his first major address on the topic. And they expected with somebody that of his, oration ability to be the largest televised event in presidential history. And that would sort of catapult his presidency. So the day comes, he walks into Congress, the hall is filled. He stands up, he delivers his address, and he goes back into the Oval Office to start to get the numbers in of the viewers. And as the numbers start rolling in, he can see all of his advisors turn white. They didn't just get the same level of viewership that a random president would get. They didn't even get half. They got a third of the viewers. It was a complete and abysmal failure. And everyone had their own theory. People don't trust you. This is the end. It was a panic moment. And there was one young staffer in the back that raised his hand and said, "I think I figured it out." You see, that night, September, I think 3rd, 2008, was the opening night in American football. I'm not sure if you're aware of how much Americans love their football, but it is insane. And you were competing with the Green Bay Packers, which was America's team. Now, there's one thing about having to eat, but you think they're going to miss football for that? The reason why they didn't tune in, because you were up against the game. It was 9 p.m. and kickoff was 9 o'clock. The president made one major flaw. He went up against what's called prime time. Prime time. You never mess with prime time. We're about to come into prime time. What is Jewish prime time? What's prime time for us? When is there prime time in our schedules? We can come from different places. We have the same prime time, right? During the week, we're psycho. There's no one paying attention during the week, right? Friday night, if you can keep somebody awake long enough to finish the meal, that's already a miracle, right? When is Jewish prime time, right? Shabbos morning, okay, till they get to shul, it takes a little bit for the shul to fill up, right? Even if you're in the best shul, it takes a while for all the pews to be full. Prime time is right around Kriyas Torah. It's when they lay in the Torah. That's why the rabbis speak after Kriyas Torah. They know the game. They understand when prime time is. They put themselves in the place where everybody's there. If you look through a lot of our customs, the customs are connected to doing things to get people to pay attention right around that same time. And Chazal know this, which is why on Yontif, they mess with Torah readings, because they're trying to deliver messages to us. And what they do to deliver the messages, they change the reading. That's why they change. That's why the Haftorah is that way. That's why every Yontif reading has different themes, because they know that everyone's paying attention to the laning. That's prime time. We're about to enter into the first prime time of the year. Rosh Hashanah, day 1 of the year. First Torah reading. That's prime time. What do you think would be in that primetime slot? If you were on the committee to pick, what would you pick? We got a lot of stuff. Avraham, good way to get open strong. Moshe, Yetzias Mitzrayim, Jewish people. There's a lot to choose from. We have a pretty dramatic history. What would you pick to be the first parsha to read to set the year off? So what does Chazal pick? I'll tell you, if you don't know already. It's the story of Yishmael. Avram had 2 sons, Yitzchak and Yishmael. he chooses Yitzchak. Based on Sarah's advice, he sends out Yishmael. And Yishmael goes with his mother Hagar. And of course, if Hagar was a Jewish mother, she would have enough food they could walk till, wherever. But, there's not enough food. It runs out quick. And they're in the desert, and he's about to die. And he's about to die, and Hashem is about to make a miracle for him. And the angels say, you got to be kidding me. But Hashem makes the miracle, and Yishmael lives. That's the first story in prime time. That makes sense to anybody here? Anybody okay with that? Like, who wrote the program? The UN? Like, really? Like, I'm all for the whole nations. Like, God bless everyone in the world. Like, I'm not, but really? On our holiday, we pick Yishmael? Like, that's okay. Number one, primetime slot of the year. We got to talk about how God saved another nation. We have nothing that we could, there's nothing in our litany of stuff that we can like pull out and say, hey, God saved us too. Why in the world did Chazal go with Yishmael? So I want to talk about Rosh Hashanah a little bit. Rosh Hashanah is a very interesting day. On the one hand, it's Yom Hadin. The books are open for Hashem. It's a serious day. It's a day that the whole year is dependent on. On the other hand, it seems like we're not even taking it seriously, right? We don't say sorry. There's no vidui. We don't mention sin at all. Like, what did you think? If you were on trial, at least you should say, I'm sorry. Like, wouldn't you think if Chazal is prepping us for this day and the day is Yom Hadin? Like, wouldn't you think that they would put in a little bit of like, by the way, just say say sorry once? Nothing. We don't mention it. We don't think about it. We don't eat nuts because they remind us of sin. We're cool. Like, we like pretend it doesn't happen. Does that ever work for you in your house? You do something wrong and you pretend it doesn't happen? Anyone go to trial? It doesn't work. And yet we seem to get away with it. Chazal seemed to create a system where we come in and we go through Yom Hadin and we never once mention sin. Why? So let's get into it a little bit. Because the story of Rosh Hashanah is connected to the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah. The Talmud in Rosh Hashanah on Daf Yud has a machlokas, has a disagreement as to when the world was created. And there's two different opinions as to when the world was created. There's a fight between Rav Eliezer and Rav Yeshua. One held that the world was created in Nisan, in the spring, and you see every year a recognition of that as the world comes back. And one held that the world was created in the fall, in Tishrei. And the Gemara goes back and forth, and ultimately the Gemara paskins that when was the world created? It was created in Nisan, which doesn't make sense because we have a holiday called Rosh Hashanah that takes place in Tishrei. So there's a Tosfos. Later on, Daf Chav Zayin, there's a Tosfos that says that Elu ve'elu divrei Elokim Chaim. They're both right? Jewish Mom 101. Both. I love both of my children. They're both right. What happened? B'Tishrei, Allah b'machshava livros. In Tishrei, Hashem had the idea to create the world. V'lo nivra anisan. But he didn't actually create the world until Nisan. So you're both right. The world was actually created in Nisan. But since he came up with the concept on Tishrei, let's go with that. What? Really? Like God needs to like plan it out? Like he's got to call contractors and architects? Like God, there needed to be a delay between an idea and actuality for Hashem? Like you had to raise the money and get a mortgage? Why is there a gap? What does it mean that Allah b'machshava livros, Hashem had the idea? So from what I learned a long time ago, the Arizal speaks about this. Allah b'machshava doesn't mean Hashem had a thought. Allah b'machshava is Hashem created something at that day. What he created at that day was ruchnius, spirituality. Machshava. It's not in this world. It's beyond this world. It's not like a thought like me and you a thought. When it says Allah b'machshava, Hashem created the world of ruchnius. Now, me and you live in a world where what we know at our core, whether we articulate it or not, is that the way the world works, that actually the physical world never gets created. The physical world gets manifested. The reason why me and you can sit around wherever we are in the world and daven for something happening in Eretz Yisrael and think that because I'm saying a word in South Africa or in New York, that's somehow going to help the safety of a soldier on the border. How is that possible? The answer is because we believe that the creation takes place in the world of spirituality. And at that moment, at that place, wherever it is of Ruchnius, we create a new reality called safety for a soldier. And it comes into this world and gets manifest into the physical world. Physicalness is a manifestation of spiritual. If you study some of the works of Chassidus, you'll see that they speak about it again and again, how in the worlds come down and the shtalshelus, where it comes into this world, it was created, if you will, in the world of Ruchnius, and it comes into the world as a manifestation in the physical world. So that makes sense. Because why would you have a Rosh Hashanah and Nisan for? By Nisan, it's over. It's physically coming into the world, but it actually starts well before then. The baby is created well before it comes into this world. The Hatzlacha, the Parnasa, the Chayim, the life that I have doesn't happen when I'm sitting around in Nisan. It takes place in the world of Tishrei, in the world of Machshav, in the world of spirituality. And so the days of Rosh Hashanah are not days of where the physical change happens. It's days in which we're creating, if you will, our spiritual future, which will then translate later on. So why in the world do we read about Yishmael? So I want to share with you a concept. So I wrote a book called Unlocking Greatness. And really I spent a lot of time researching people that have achieved great things. And I'm always curious about this. It's like a little obsession of mine. I don't believe that greatness is genetic. I don't believe that greatness is luck. Of course, it's mazel, and Hashem runs the world. But I believe that there's some clues, there's some themes that seem to lay across all different types of people that have achieved greatness. And one of those themes is the idea of doing and being. We live in a world where we follow a very specific metric, a very specific sequence. And that is a sequence of do, have, be. When you look at somebody, you judge them by the metric of what they do. You ever do this before? You ask somebody their name. What's the next question you ask? What do you do? And then that's it. No other questions. And then that's it. All the judgment takes place, right? What do you do? Oh, what do you do? Oh, or if not that, what do you have? What school do you go to? That's basically doing. Where do you go to school? And you could do this your whole life. You can be talking to somebody and they could be 55 years old and they're saying, what school did you go to for college, for university? And you could be judging them based on what they did when they were 18, 19, 20 years old. We look at the world and we judge others and ourselves by what people are doing because we're physical and we're physically minded. And the world of doing is the physical world. And when we're little, we're sort of taught and conditioned. Do, have, be. Do work, have good grades, and be a great student. Do work, have money, and be wealthy. Do mitzvos, have schar, and be a tzaddik. We live in a world where the sequence of our lives begins with action. We judge ourselves by our actions. We judge others by their actions. But if you really look into the lives of great people, you'll see that they don't live this way. They don't live do, have, be. They live in a different sequence. Their sequence is be, do, have. Who do I want to be? I didn't do it yesterday, but okay, that was yesterday. Who do I want to be? What kind of parent, spouse, child, community member, Jew? Forget who I was. Forget what I did. Who do I want to be? When a child is born for the first time, the parents never were parents before. They have to make a choice. When a man or a woman walks down an aisle, they were never married before. They have to make a choice. When a person starts to connect themselves in a deeper way to God, they have to make a choice. The choice isn't what do I do? Because what you do is being sourced by someone you were yesterday. The choice is who do I want to be? And that's not like a inspired 1 minute fluffy thing. It's a decision. There's a famous story in the Talmud of a woman who marries a man on the condition that he is a tzaddik. And the rabbis ultimately decide that they are married because maybe he had a hiru tshuva. It wasn't just like he was in the mood. He had a moment. And in the world of physicalness, you can't change your life in a moment. But in a world of spirituality, you can. In a world of spirituality, you can change your life in a real moment. You can have a hiru tshuva that shifts your category. You can stand before God on Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and change yourself. You can change yourself. Now, it may take time for it to condition into your mind. It may take time until it feels natural and normal. Neuroplasticity, your mind is a complex mechanism. You don't just snap your fingers and off you go. It's a lot of time to habituate your decisions. But who you are changes by decisions that you make. Not by your do, but by your be. Be, do, have. You decide who you want to be and you make a real decision. And then you ask yourself, what do those people do? And then you have what those people have. Rosh Hashanah is an amazing day, but it's not a day of physicalness. It's a day of spirituality. It's a day of judgment, but the judgment that I believe is taking place is not action-based. If it was, we'd be saying sorry. The judgment that is taking place is, who are you? Yeah, your actions manifest who you are, but who are you? What kind of father and mother, brother and sister? What kind of person that goes through challenge? You're a person of faith, real faith. A person that believes in me, God says, no matter what. Who are you? Who do you want to be? And God goes, Chazal says, here's what we're going to do. This may look weird to those who are paying attention, but we're going to put in prime time the story of Yishmael, which is not thematically aligned to the Jewish people because of what happened. So if you remember what happened, God sees Yishmael and he's about to make a miracle. And as the Mefarshim Rashi says, in Shamayim, there's a dire tumult. When the Malachim turn to God and go, are you serious here? Let me show you. Let's just go to you realize that he's out in the field because he almost tried to kill Yitzchak. You realize that. And you realize that, like, it's going to get harder. Like, he makes it, your kids are going to suffer. Like, I'm just telling you straight. Like, God bless everybody. I'm not arguing on your I'm telling you. Like, let's go to the videotape. Like, let's just type in 100, 200, 500, 600. It's going to get hard with this nation. I'm not telling you to kill anybody. The Malachim are saying, just sheval tasa. Just sit this one out. Trust me, sit this one out. And God turned to the Malachim and said, you guys don't get it. You don't know how I judge. I know he was a Rasha. I know it's going to be hard in the future, but I don't work like that. Let me tell you how I judge. I judge with 3 words. Ba'asher hu sham. The way you are now. Ba'asher right now he's a tzaddik. Yesterday he wasn't, and tomorrow he's not going to be. But today, as he stands before me right now in prayer, the man's righteous. And I don't look yesterday or tomorrow. I look now. I look at who he is now. I'm not looking at his actions. I'm looking at his mahos. I'm looking at his essence. Maybe Chazal put us right there on the first day to remind us. Rosh Hashanah is a day where you can do incredible things, but not if you get lost in the doing. Not if you walk in carrying the baggage of, I can't, I didn't, it's been so many years, I've been doing this forever, it's not me, I'm not like this, it's not what my background is, I don't believe in this, I don't do, I don't do, I do, I don't do, all of that. And not even if you're like, who am I kidding? As soon as this is over, I'm going to go back to where I was. Why am I feeling excited for? This is ridiculous. I did this last year. All of that noise is just distracting us. As I'll say, I'm not even mentioning sin, because if I put a vidui down, you're going to get lost in doing. Forget doing for 2 days. Stand before your creator for 2 days and say, this is who I want to be. Get into your kishkas and say, this is what I want to be. I'm making a decision. I'm overcoming challenge together. This is the community I want us to be. And when a person is able to tap into the be, the machshava, the ruchnius, he sets himself in a direction the whole year. He locks himself into a way. He has to come out and get work done. That's why we have Yom Kippur afterwards. But while he stands before Hashem and Rosh Hashanah, he puts himself in a book. He puts himself in a direction. He sets him or herself. And I think, Bani Yastaiti, that's the judgment. And my bracha to each and every one of you is to recognize that there are ups and downs in this world. We have an opportunity here that is once a year to be anything we want to be, if we're serious, if it's real. To stand before the Creator and say, what a gift, renewal, what a gift Hashem gives us. It's chadshus. We should be zocheh this Rosh Hashanah to tap into the power that Hashem gives us, to bring miracles, to change our lives, to become the people that we're meant to be, to become the nation that's zocheh to geula. And with that, hopefully we'll be zocheh to all of us who've written to the right books, and see simchas together. I hope next Rosh Hashanah we can be doing this, but not like this on Zoom, live in Yerushalayim. Hashem, you guys will take me out to the Waldorf Astoria. We'll have a great time. It'll be amazing. There'll be a full buffet. We'll dance ourselves to the new Beis Hamikdash. B'meher b'yameinu, amen.
Amen, amen. Thank you so much, Charlie. That was so inspiring, and I'm certainly going to go into Rosh Hashanah better for having heard this. Thank you for your time, and for all of you for joining us. We are going to end off with our video. If you haven't yet seen it, our fundraiser video, we are going to play it for you now. And just thanking you all for your support and for partnering with us and for joining us tonight. Thanks so much. The sight of an empty shul during lockdown has given me a new appreciation of how blessed we are to be back in shul and part of a community that cares so deeply about each other.
Unfortunately, like other people in this community, I lost one of my family members this year. I lost my father. COVID hit. And for a son not to be able to say Kaddish for his father, it's a very hard thing. The Rabbonim stepped in and they explained to me that there's other things you can do. And ultimately, you realize the intangible things, the things that you can't touch and see, make a huge difference in one's life. And I think that's the strength of our community.
We moved into the area recently during Corona, and the community has been so warm and so welcoming, even though it's difficult. We've really enjoyed that it's a very holistic, multidisciplinary environment.
We can choose to be victim to challenging circumstances, or we can choose to grow. We can choose to flourish. We can choose to build for the future.
Community doesn't just exist. A community is forged of those that came before us. We don't have a leader, Harav Avraham Chaim Tanzer Zatzal at a time, but what we do have is his legacy. We call on every single one of you in order to heed on his values.
Last year we were really blessed to welcome twin boys to our family, and just prior to their birth my husband unfortunately contracted coronavirus, but the community really stepped up for us emotionally.
So during lockdown, the online offering and learning packs and constant communication from the rabbis allowed us to stay connected to the community and to the shul.
We are extremely privileged to have a midrashah for women to learn on our campus with other ladies and girls in our community.
Together with the Beit Mordechai Campus Kollel and the University Kollel, we comprise the learning arm of Yeshiva Mizrachi.
The Barmy program allowed me to spend lots of quality time with my father.
One of my favorite parts of the Ignite program was going on activities.
The Ignite Barmy program instilled a passion for Torah in myself, and I also learned about the values of our Jewish religion.
About the Pausha. I love playing with my friends at shul.
I get very excited for going to children's service, and I like playing 1 to 3 block.
When we arrived in Glen Hazel, the big shul was the only minyan on the complex, and over the years it has developed into a centre which can accommodate our 3 generations.
It's been great to be able to grow up within a place that has had an offering for me at whatever stage of my life I happen to be at.
I think I'm really privileged to be able to daven with my grandparents and parents regularly on a Shabbos.
All our happy memories are from Yeshiva and Mizrachi. We got married in the shul, our son had his bris in the shul, my son had his bar mitzvah in the shul.
And we'd love our children to taste the same and have the same experience from the community.
Our Yeshiva Mizrachi rabbinic team are ready, willing and able to help you reach a much higher level in your Torah learning, in your spiritual relationship with Hashem, and your Jewish knowledge and thought in general. And of course we're here for you in your times of simchas and as a support in your times of difficulty.
We want our home for simchas. We want our home when we have some sadness. We need our home for connectivity. We need our home to educate our children. We need our shuls to flourish.
We feel very blessed to be part of this vibrant and dynamic and very caring community.
It's more than just a community, it's a family.
That's why we're turning to you today to donate to the Yeshiva Mizrachi community and to be a part of this campaign, where we hope to reach an ambitious goal of 2.5 million rand. This will allow us to build an even brighter future and to keep growing, because we're definitely better together.